Okay, I got cut off by loss of battery. So yeah, so the units can march to the sound of the cannon if they're within 6 hexes, 2 hexes at a time. So you can do that each battle round. Maybe that's 1, 2, or only 3. And then finally, if a side withdraws or you reach the end of the battle rounds and both sides are still, one side has not withdrawn, then another side gets an automatic withdrawal. So you don't need a die roll. First, the side who's taken the most casualties, then the other side can decide to withdraw. The one who does withdraw has to concede defeat. That could be important for victory points, for victory point purposes. Although if you withdraw during battle, you don't concede defeat. But you yeah, so I think there's more things will happen in the advanced game, but there's determines victory points in the basic game if Hooker concedes defeat. In any case, the one that remains in the field. Now remember, neither of you it might be that neither of you withdraw and neither of you concede defeat, and the battle could theoretically continue in the next game turn, the next day. But if one of you does concede defeat and withdraw, then the victor gets a possessor of the field marker, which essentially exhausts his force, and it's not allowed to move for a whole day. While you're picking up your wounded and so forth, and burying the dead. So essentially that's it. Now, there's one thing that I wanted to address. Let's just skip my mind again. Yes, I remember now. That was the thing about when a battle occurs, you miss all the rest of your turn. Now your opponent doesn't necessarily miss theirs. It's not the end of the game turn. It's the end of the player turn, starting in a battle. And no, you might have a battle in your player turn, and then the next, if the next player has a turn in the same day or even on a different day, they might not decide to continue that battle, or they might also decide to continue that battle. So they might withdraw out of the hex. They might actually stay in without battling. Then you could choose to battle in your battle continuation, but they might continue their battle. In which case, if there is the battle, you're not having the rest of your turn. So, and that strikes an odd note because you think, hang on, but just because there's a battle in this hex, it doesn't mean that the rest of my forces don't move around. And also, can't I have a battle in another hex at the same time? And the answer is no. You could have skirmishes, unless you miss your whole turn because you've chosen battle continuation. But you can only have one battle per game turn. It could be the same battle fought twice in both player turns. And I think that actually does simulate a good thing in the sense of the mindset of the combatants, especially in this campaign at least, in that they weren't going out saying, okay, this division's going to be battling here and I'm going to be battling here and battling here. That wasn't how it was played. It was more a campaign of manoeuvre and hopefully surprise and that single decisive battle. So I think it puts the players in the same mindset of Lee and Hooker and all the Lincoln administration, in that they are not going for the all-out battle, and when battle does happen, it is a big issue. And yes, you can move units to it provided they are close. So I suppose that in game turns you could have had extra battles and perhaps it wouldn't affect the game that much, but ruling it that you can only have the one, it does also kind of bring you more into that mindset where you're thinking, and effectively I think you're probably only going to have one anyway, because the Confederate forces are not such that he can spread out and afford to fight lots of different battles. He can have skirmishes with his outlying units, but he's really going to need to bring them together to all three corps together if he wants the army of Northern Virginia to fight a battle against against definitely the Army of Potomac. Potentially Lee could fight a single division here just up here, that starts out near Sharpsburg on the other side of the Potomac from the Harper's Ferry. Potentially that could be fought in a battle, but if it's not likely to be at all to be happening at the same time as a kind of a Gettysburg or similar battle somewhere else is going on. And again, Hooker, if he's splitting out all his forces, he's got the forces in which he could theoretically sort of quite happily fight a couple of battles at once. He's not going to be moving very much at all, so the likelihood of that happening at all is not high. But he might find he's skirmishing in one place and accidentally escalating to a battle, in which case, as the word gets forward, the next battle, the other battle he had planned somewhere else, is kind of like thrown to the wind. It's like, okay, we've got to concentrate on that's where it's going down, at least for the time being. So I think it quite happily does simulate at least the mentality of in the theatre rather than absolute probability, which never really happens in practice. Practice, what happens is what happens within the theatre and the field, depending on the commanders and so forth. It doesn't matter if theoretically all of your troops everywhere could be fighting pitched battles. Theoretically, practically, is that ever going to happen? So it again, on reflection, it wasn't as gamey as I thought it might be. So on that note, or at least as I thought it first appeared, on that note, I'm going to finish this summary. It's split up into a number of videos which I may be able to splice together if I can find a video editor, but I'm probably more likely just to throw these up as separate, so I'm sorry about the disjointed nature of what really I would have wanted to be just one long video, but then maybe it gives you some slightly smaller meals to partake of. But anyway, I hope you can follow through the disjointed nature of it, and it gives you a good idea of how Killer Angel's basic game plays out. And this is very much the chassis on which the advanced game is played. Now, there are one or two rules which, slightly annoyingly, you will have to unlearn to play the advanced game, but I can't get into that because I don't, it's just what I've gathered from skimming the advanced rules. Next up, when I get a chance to do it, which should be later next week sometime, it will be an example of play from the basic game campaign game. So I will start with the starting setup and run you through, as long as it appears feasible, some game turns, so you can see how it actually happens in real time. Over and out.